hands in worship as Cameron plays. Age to age. Name above all names. Worthy of all praise. Play it again. Oh, worship Him, church. Come on, lift those hands. Worship Him. You're not alone. How great is our God. Come on, the splendor of our King. Let your voices sing. Come on, everybody sing the splendor. The splendor of the King. Clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice. All the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in night. And darkness tries to hide. And trembles at his voice. Trembles at his voice. How great is our God. Sing with me. How great is our God. And all sing. How great is our God. Oh, age to age He stands. Age to age He stands. Eyes intense.
And the biggest thing that I think a lot of us struggled with was trying to fit in and trying to get to the crowds. Without further ado, I want to have Bud Galls come up and give his Kings Island testimony. If you haven't heard the Kings Island story, go up to Dad. He'll be more than happy to tell you. So I wanted to talk about fitting in with the crowds, and instead of trying to fit in, to know that we belong, to know our belonging, to know our calling. So my verse today is going to be in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. It says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you, I ordained you a prophet to the nations." So before we were even born, before we even knew who we were, before we even knew we were coming into this world, God knew us. God formed us. He knitted us in the womb. He had a plan for us all along. And, that's pretty special. So I'm going to talk about me growing up. So growing up, high school wasn't as bad, but middle school for me was torture. I absolutely hated middle school. For one thing, we had a dress code. Were you guys around during the dress code? Or was that? So the dress code was no longer implemented. But when I was in school, we had a dress code. We had to wear khaki pants or navy pants, collared shirt, tucked in with a belt. And for a guy like me who was short, chubby, tucking my shirt in was not an option. I did not like it. And I think the goal of the dress code was to, I guess, so all the kids, could look the same, not have to worry about trying to wear popular clothes. I mean, every store had their brand of whatever their polo was or whatever, and so that, to me, that defeated the purpose. So I was a chubby kid, I was insecure, I was short, I was shy, I struggled making friends, and I had to be a pain shopping for clothes for school. Mom and Dad could probably attest. I know one of the things for me was I hated the size of clothes that I had to get. I was either a large or an extra large in middle school. A men's large. So when people would ask me what my shirt size was, I was always embarrassed to tell them, oh, I'm a large or I'm an extra large. So I would pressure Mom and Dad to get me mediums. I would wear medium polos in middle school. And they'd be skin tight, and then, Mom and Dad would come out of the dressing room and I'd be like, it fits, look. And they'd be like, son, they don't fit. You need some X's on that shirt. But for me, I was just insecure about the shirt size that I wore. I was insecure about the way I looked. I was insecure of if there was a bird on my polo or not. And all that changed before I got into fitness. And by fitness, I mean fitness oatmeal in my mouth as fast as I can. But I was always trying to find and follow the latest trends, the latest fashions. So I want to kind of take you guys back through time and go over some of the latest trends and fashions throughout the decades. So we're going to start with the 50s. Now when I get to your decade, give me an amen. How many 50s we got out there? You don't have to. But, so as we look at some of these, you see some of the styles and stuff back then. It was very elegant, very classic. Men wore three-piece suits, women wore elegant dresses and hats. And some of the top brands, I Googled what were the top brands of each decade. And one of the brands was Dolly and Dottie. Does anyone know that brand? Okay. Dapper Dan. Anyone know Dapper Dan? Anyone see my brother Art there? He's a Dapper Dan man. Steady Clothing. It don't get no original than that. Steady Clothing. So now let's go to the 60s. And I call this the Scooby-Doo era. It looks like Fred and Daphne up there. So you had the ascots, the big collars, the colorful pants and shirts. Some of the brands was Aussie Clark, London. Does that ring a bell to you? Pucci, apparently. Pierre Cardin. I don't know some of these brands, but I looked it up. These were the top results that I got. Once we get closer to what today is, some of these brands will be a little bit more familiar. Let's go to the 70s. So we got the bell bottoms. Still got the big collars. Some of the brands was Bibba. I've never heard of Bibba. Halston. Help me pronounce this. It's Yves Saint Laurent, something like that. Levi's. Levi's is a classic. It's still popular today. So now we're on to the 80s. There we go. I know, according to Dad, it's the greatest decade ever. But I mean, looking at these pictures, I don't know. So we had the big hair, the hair bands era. Some of the members only jackets. Guess was a big brand. Nike started getting real popular because of Michael Jordan. Levi's is still there. But we had big hairs. I don't know what the colorful combinations we got going on there. The denim look, big hair. Now we go to the 90s. We got Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Gap, Calvin Klein. It was a real, I guess people started wearing real kind of like a baggy look. Still had some fluorescent colors in there. Then we get to the 2000s. This was my middle school era. So some of the brands was American Eagle, Mud. I don't remember Mud. Is that a girl brand? Ed Hardy. My aunt was big into Ed Hardy. I never understood Ed Hardy. It was wild looking. So I don't know if some of you remember, but there was a song called it was in middle school called Grills, and we used to get the aluminum foil gum wrapper and put in our mouth, pretending it was a grill. Don't know why we do that, but we did. Definitely in middle school for us, because where we had to wear the polos, this was a big trend. We would wear multiple colored polos and then pop the collar to have your multiple colored collars, or I don't know, but it was a trend. So now we get in today, and we got man buns, skinny jeans, and I see these girls, they got these bougie hats they take. I call them bougie hats. But they take their pictures with them, or you see the wall art sometimes with the wings, and they'll get their skinny jeans and their bougie hats, and they'll take their pictures and post them on social media. But you know, today's trend is a lot based on social media. Social media has kind of took over what we call the world today. So a lot of people, instead of trying to fit in with public, they try to fit in on social media. They try to fit in. They want their media page, their Facebook page, or their Instagram page to present how they are. They want to fit into a certain type of crowd. So enough of that. I want to talk about being a leader and not a follower. You know, God didn't want us to follow all the latest trends. He didn't want us to follow the crowd. He wanted us to be a leader. He wanted us to be set apart and set aside from the world. So the first rule of leadership is understanding that we are a misfit. We're not supposed to be part of the crowd. We're not supposed to be blended in with, what the world is, what the world has to offer. We're set apart. We are knitted together in our mother's womb for a purpose. And that purpose is to be a light in this world, to be different, to bring people to Jesus. So you don't fit into the world, but you fit uniquely into God's plan. Stop trying to fit into the world when God has set us apart. Amen. When you're a part of the crowd, how can you lead the crowd? How can you lead the group of people that you're trying to pretend to be? Or how can you lead, if you're trying to follow all the trends, follow all the latest fashions, follow all the Facebook and the Instagram and all that, how can you lead those people to Christ if you're the same? Amen. So in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2, it says, "For you are a holy people to the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a people for himself, a special treasure above all the people who are on the face of the earth." So own your difference. For me, this was probably the biggest hurdle for me. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be, I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be, cool. I wanted to fit into the popular crowd. I had a lot of stuff that I went through in middle school. I haven't told a lot of people, but I'll share some stories. I told them yesterday. But middle school, I used to be kind of bullied. I wasn't bullied like every day. It wasn't like a nightmare like that. But I had some moments where I was bullied. And I remember gym class. I loved gym class, but I hated going to the locker room to get changed. Because I had to take my shirt off and get my gym clothes, all that stuff on. I was embarrassed. So I would always go to a bathroom stall or whatever, get my clothes on, and then come out. I remember one time I was had an orange polo. I put my clothes back on and come out, and some dude looked at me and said, "Look, Dave looks like a pumpkin." Because of all my medium polo that I wore and my the Taylor calls them saddlebags were hanging out and everything like that. But I was, it hurt. That's something that that hurts you whenever someone says it. You just kind of brush it off and go on. And there was another time I was at a middle school dance, and it was probably the last one I went to. But I was walking around there. I came in late, and I seen a group of my friends or people that I thought were my friends, and they were just kind of standing in a circle. And I tried to go up to them, try to talk, try to be involved, or whatever. And two guys just kind of turned around and just kind of like pushed me out, like, "I don't belong here. I don't belong in this circle," or whatever. And I just kind of just walked around the rest of the time, just kind of by myself, kind of vibing to the music, I guess. But that hurt. Stuff like that hurts, and it happened to me maybe on a couple of occasions, but for some kids, it happens every day. For some kids, they're constantly trying to make that fight to fit into these crowds, to fit into the cool, popular people. And every day they're trying to wear the cool clothes so they can kind of, look cool and fit in with the crowd, and it's hard. And every day they just get rejected. And I think by human nature, we want to get accepted. We want to feel accepted. We want to feel like we belong. We We don't want to be rejected from, people or our peers. And so some people, they starve for that. They starve to try to fit in, to try to belong to the crowd or get into the crowd. But there's nothing wrong with being weird or being different. It took me a few years to realize that, why am I trying so hard to fit in with these people? Why am I trying so hard to be cool when, it just started to be uncool to me? Why am I trying to spend all this time and energy wearing clothes that were too tight? I was uncomfortable every day. To fit in with these now I can call them losers. Now they're losers. But, it's hard. And, people deal with that stuff every day. But there's nothing wrong with being weird. There's nothing wrong with being different. There's nothing wrong with knowing who you are, and knowing where you stand, and knowing who you really need to be getting into. So be authentically you. Be who God has called you and created you to be. Just be real. I know Dad, whenever he announced me being the youth pastor, he said, Dave don't care. You come up to Dave don't care, But I used to care. I used to care a lot. I used to care what people thought about me. I used to care, what the scale said. I still kind of do sometimes. But I used to care what I looked like in the mirror, and over time, you got to own your difference. You got to know who you stand for. You got to know who you are. You begin to start to develop that. I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what the crowd thinks about me. I care what He thinks about me. I care what God thinks about me. I care about what my wife thinks about me. I care about what my daughter, what she thinks, the kind of father that I am. That's what I care about. So God can't bless who you pretend to be. You can pretend to be cool. You can pretend to be popular. You can post after post on, how amazing your life is, and people starve on, how many likes and stuff your post gets. But none of that matters. You can try to pretend to be this, pretend to be that. But God can't bless you pretend to be. God can bless you, who you were made to be. And where you belong. So your difference makes a difference. The person that God called you to be, created you to be, that's the person that can make a difference. That's the person who can change lives. So own your difference. Tune out the voices of wrong people. John 15, verse 18 says, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. So when we live a godly life, it threatens the darkness when we let our light shine. So whenever we own our difference, we have accepted who we are, we have accepted who we're called to be, that means the enemy's just going to start attacking you even harder. So be prepared to be mocked. Be prepared to be made fun of. People they're going to make fun of you, they're going to push you, you're going to try to get into circles, and they're going to turn around, they're going to shove you out. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to, be made fun of for your faith. I know a lot of times that, I still get made fun of sometimes at work, for my faith. It's nothing, it's kind of harmless being fun of, but you know what the kind I'm talking about. Like they'll be talking about something, they'll see me come up like, oh, Dave's coming, better watch out, stuff like that. But, that's what we are. That's what we're called to be. We're called to be different. When people see us come up to a conversation, that should make them want to stop. That should make them want to change their view, change the way that they're thinking. So we're called to be different. Be prepared to receive bad advice. A lot of times, how many times you feel like people have a way they want to tell you how to do something? I know Dad loves it. Dad loves it when someone knows how to do something better than he knows. But, be prepared to receive bad advice. People are going to come up to you and they're going to tell you how you should do this, tell you how you should do that. Oh, you don't need to, you can drink on the weekends, it's fine. You can do this, it's fine. Lord will forgive you on Sunday and stuff like that. You're going to receive that kind of advice, and people are going to try to knock you down. And all that is just the enemy, trying to attack you. He sees what you're becoming. He sees, the devil knows your purpose. The devil knows what God created you to be, and he's going to try to attack that. He don't want you to be that. He don't want you to become into that person, that leader that God has called you to be. So be prepared to be tempted. You know, this world is full of temptations. It's even more so now probably than whenever I was growing up and when you guys were growing up. But the teens today face stuff that I couldn't even imagine back when I was in high school. I was in high school 10 years ago. It's changed that much. There's just so much stuff out there, stuff that's just so easily accessible that it's hard. And you know, the devil's just going to come at you constantly and tempt you with these things, and tempt you with drugs, with alcohol, with relationships. He's going to come at you with all these things. He's going to try to knock you down. So be prepared for that. Don't be offended or discouraged or persuaded. Be with people who encourage you and lift you up. Listen to the right voices. That was a big thing for me. Whenever I was trying to fit into these crowds, fit into this friend group, or people I thought were my friends, you know, they weren't lifting me up. They were just knocking me down. You know, they weren't helping me be the person that I wanted to be. So I had to find friends that were going to lift me up. I had to find people that were going to encourage me. I had to seek out advice to go through these things and stuff that I was going through. And when you find a group of people, and you find a group of friends that can help you, you know, go through this stuff together, go through these temptations and these battles and stuff together, you know, it just makes it that much easier. It's easy to attack these things when you have numbers on your side. And it's even easier when you have God on your side. When you're in the Word and you're praying and you're talking, you're building that relationship, it's so much easier to deflect these temptations. It's so much easier to be able to discern what is good advice and what's bad advice. Yeah. It's so much easier to, when someone mocks you, makes fun of you, just brush it off. You know, because none of that stuff matters. In the end game, none of that stuff matters. So in 1 Peter chapter 2, 9 through 10, it says, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light, who once were not a people, but are now the people of God, who had not obtained mercy, but now obtain mercy." So we're a chosen people. As Christians, as people who have chosen God to come into our hearts, to come into our lives, we're chosen for a mission. We're chosen for a purpose. We're special people. You know, we're called to be set apart. We're called to be different. We're called to be a light into the world. So don't sell out. Don't compromise your character. Know who you stand for. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yes. So know that you're on God's team. Know what you are. Know that God is always on your side. He's always got your back. And sell yourself out to that. You know, you could sell yourself out to anything. You can sell yourself out to drugs and addiction and alcohol and relationships and stuff like that. You know, you can sell yourself out to that, and all that's going to bring you is just hurt and harm. But sell yourself out to God. Sell yourself out to Christ. Know who you are. Know what God has called you to be. And give your all to it. Own your difference. Stop trying to fit into this world and know that you belong to God and His plan for your life.